Let's talk about the prospects of a deal and its impact with Richard Haass. He's president of the Council on Foreign Relations and a former advisor to Secretary of State Colin Powell. Richard, good to see you as always. So we have Secretary Kerry in Geneva, the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, meeting with Iranian leaders on Monday. What do you think a deal would mean for all the players involved? How big of a deal would this be?
Well, on one level, Jake, any deal is a big deal, given the last three decades plus of tension or often hostility between the United States and Iran. That said, any deal at most would be a kind of interim arrangement, would maybe have a specific time limit on it, 6 months or something like it, and it would simply be to buy some time and to set the stage, if you will, for a much more ambitious agreement that would be negotiated during that time span.
Here's what President Obama said last night about the easing of sanctions and that being on the table.
There is the possibility of a phased agreement in which the first phase would be us halting any advances on their nuclear program, rolling some potential back, and putting in place a way where we can provide them some very modest relief, but keeping the sanctions architecture in place, keeping the core sanctions in place.
Republican Senator Bob Corker is trying to limit the administration's abilities to waive or ease these sanctions. What do you think is the right move here?
What the administration is trying to do is thread the proverbial needle. They've got to keep enough of the sanctions in place to keep the pressure on. Any relief needs to be reversible. On the other hand, they've got to give the Iranians enough in order so that they can go defend the deal in their political system. I think the critical thing will be this question that anything relieved can be reversed, can be, if you will, reinstated, and that there's a degree of proportionality, that the reward, say the unfrozen assets that then become available to Iran, that the reward does not seem too big for whatever it is the Iranians are agreeing to.
It seems as though there already has been something of a reward, at least if you believe the report from the Daily Beast's Josh Rogan and Eli Lake. They reported today that by looking at Treasury notices, since Rouhani was elected in June, the U.S. government has all but stopped the financial blacklisting of entities and people that help Iran evade international sanctions. So it looks as though there's already been some carrot, even without any stick or any action, earning those carrots.
That would be a pretty modest carrot. It's kind of like the small ones you buy in the grocery store, not the big ones. And the argument would be that would be a kind of confidence-building measure, a really limited one. And if, for example, these agreements, these negotiations rather, came to naught, the United States could move ahead on that sort of a front with considerable dispatch. In any negotiation, you often try to create an environment where you increase the odds, and that to me wouldn't be anything, say, that's irrevocable.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just met with Secretary of State John Kerry. He is very public about not being happy with what's shaping up to be the deal. Take a listen.
I understand the Iranians are walking around very satisfied in Geneva, as well they should be, because they got everything and paid nothing. The international community got a bad deal. This is a very bad deal.
Are we hurting our relationship with Israel and other allies by working with Iran?
Clearly, the Israelis and the Saudis are incredibly nervous. This doesn't take place in a vacuum. It takes place in the context of what was seen as American lack of reliability or consistency in Syria. It takes place against the backdrop of American political dysfunction here at home. But clearly the Israelis are nervous, and they're also worried, Jake, about being boxed in, that while such a process is going on, their ability to act independently militarily is really all but taken off the table.
So you think that the Netanyahu, his very public anger is 100% legitimate and that's not for show in any way?
Well, again, I think it's meant to toughen the U.S. position as you move towards the last hours, potentially, of negotiation. It's also meant, to some extent, to stimulate not just political support at home in Israel, but perhaps in the U.S. to get people in Congress and elsewhere to scrutinize any sanctions relief that is provided to the Iranians. And you've got to look at an interim agreement and basically say, do we get enough out of it in the terms of what we'd potentially put into it. And that's the only framework that everybody has to use.
All right, Richard Haass, thank you so much for your time.